Hello guys, thank you for coming to this presentation. My name is Brain, and probably this will be the weirdest presentation here on the E2E, because I heard a lot of stories that are talking about the guy who will talk about the SharePoint on the Citrix conference. So I will just show you what we did with the SharePoint farm that we have experience with, and how we apply that we are doing with SharePoint farm on the Citrix and examples. Okay, so this is agenda. So basically, why I'm talking about it. So I'm employed in the company where 50% of the company is working stuff for the SharePoint, and 50% of the company is working with ZenApp and ZenDesktop. And basically, this allowed me to look at these large SharePoint farms, and then to learn something how they do stuff in the SharePoint, and maybe to apply that knowledge to the Citrix and remote desktop services. So I will just talk about a little about this farm. So somehow we had a luck, and basically we are part of the team that is maintaining, so we are outside vendor and part of the team that is maintaining, as we know today, the largest SharePoint farm in the world. So, like in Citrix, the SharePoint has, so anybody work with SharePoint here at any level, so, okay. So basically, like in Citrix, you have different server roles. So in Citrix, you have storefront, delivery controller, license server, application servers. You have different server roles that you have on your servers. And in SharePoint, you have something that is really similar as well. So you have the back frontend servers. So basically, those are the servers that are serving the users that are connecting to that farm. You have backend SQL server that is hosting basically the data for all that users, and you have the application servers that are, let's say, working something on the application level for that users that are coming on the web frontend servers. And like in Citrix, it's recommended to have multiple farms. So if you have a large production farm, then you need to have a lot of development and staging and QA and UAT farms, basically where you will test your solutions or your applications that your developers or outside consultants are developing for you. Okay, so let me give you a bit details about this farm. So as we know, as for today, this farm that we are a part of has more than 1,000 servers, and it is serving currently more than 400,000 users. So it's a large financial organization, and so they're basically working really closely with Microsoft, because it's even new for Microsoft, because that deployment they have on-prem, Microsoft is learning with that as well, because at the moment, not even, so as you know, not even one data center for the Azure is not hosting so many users in that single location. So across multiple users, of course, you have a lot of users, but not even one data center is serving so many users. So Microsoft is working with this corporation, and basically Microsoft is learning from them as well. And as we know, some of the core developers from the SharePoint are rented to this organization, so basically they learn and develop stuff with the SharePoint. They just learn from that organization. So this is interesting. This farm can produce 30 gigabytes of logs for every 7 minutes. So that is really a lot. And these logs are not about who is connecting where, who is opening which file, but basically this is only the ULS log. So the ULS log is basically, let's say, some kind of a textual file where SharePoint is writing everything that is doing with the servers that are hosting this farm. The logs are stored for 14 days, and then in 14 days it can generate around 100 terabytes of data. Okay, so what we do there with the tool that we have. So basically, as in the Citrix, in the SharePoint, you have these different server roles, and it's important to have all the data how that SharePoint farm is set. So, for example, if you have dev, QA, UAT, and production farm, it is important to have all that farms aligned with the same settings. So what we do is we collect all the data about this SharePoint farm, and we write it in the file, and then basically you can collect the data from all the other farms, and you can store that data, and you can compare the settings of those different farms, because on the end it's really important to align that farm, because for the developer on the end he needs to have the same settings you have in the production, because he is developing some stuff for the production on the end, but he needs to test that on his development part. Okay, so what this tool basically is doing, so it's really simple. On the end, we are calling this a snapshot. A snapshot is it's a set of all the configurations that you have on the different server roles. So on the front-end servers, on the application servers, and on the SQL servers. And basically it just creates a snapshot. So it's not so clear here on the screen, but basically these are the different snapshots, and there is a snapshot for every day. So this is snapshot for today, this is snapshot for yesterday, 2 days ago, and something like that. So this snapshot is completely automatic, and this is really important for the SharePoint guys. And so basically when we saw what the SharePoint guys are doing, then we thought that the same knowledge can be applied to the Citrix as well. So you have a large Citrix farms and a lot of people that are working on those farms, and you don't know which settings are configured. When you, for example, configure a farm for the end user as a consultant, then you need to provide some kind of a document what you have configured in that farm. So for example, you deliver a farm, and then you come back after, let's say, 4 months or something like that, and then customer asks you, okay, something is not working, you need to check what has changed in the settings of the farm. So what tool provides you is it is able to compare what are the settings that you configured for that particular Zenep farm, and then what they have changed over the time. So I will just show you now few things what we do in the Zenep. Okay, so these are the snapshots that I showed to you. Basically, the snapshot is really simple. It's only one Windows service that is sitting on some admin server or some server that is part of the farm. We just need to have access to the Zenep API, and then basically we are able to gather all these different data. Okay, so so this is so in the screenshots, I'm not sure how much you can see, but basically I will open the demo later, and then you will be able to see what the tool is able to create. So what we had in mind is if this is important for the SharePoint people, it will be important for the Zenep people. And what we built is some kind of a framework where you can use the Zenep the Zen desktop, for example, RIS, the SQL, Exchange, whatever has PowerShell exposure, you can implement that in the tool. The tool will collect the data about those different servers, and then you will be able to compare configuration over time. So for example, in this screenshot, we see a simple PowerShell command that is get XA farm, and this is a snapshot that is created on 5th of May at 9:39, and this is created at 10:13. So this is only an example, but you will see a little later how you can use this. So basically when it creates a snapshot, then you can surf through the farm, through the different settings, and the tool will tell you if something is different, if there is a difference in children, if there is maybe some kind of setting that is not configured, for example, on the development part, and you have it on the production, so you will have here a blue icon or something is missing on the production farm or something like that. So this is just example of the getXA farm command line. So this is the PowerShell command line getXA administrators. Basically, this is a list of all the administrators that are on your farm. So over time, you don't have the time to check every day if somebody added to some particular AD group or just added the user directly or granted access as a view only or something like that. So if somebody adds a new admin to the Citrix farm, then the tool will automatically find that difference in the snapshot, and it will send you the email that something was changed, for example, on the XA administrators.
Is this also working for nested groups?
Sorry?
Is this also working then for nested groups? When I have, for the admins, normally I don't use the admin account directly, it uses only AD groups and then
yes, so that is something
different.
So that is something that we have in the SharePoint. So basically they have AD groups that is basically it connects to the domain controller and reads the member of that security group, but that is something that is coming here as well. So basically it will connect to the DC list, just the users of that security group, and then if somebody was added, you will be able to see that as well. So currently not, but we are working on that. Okay, so this is example of the published apps. So this was really important for some customers because different apps have different settings, and we had experience with pretty much large organizations. So it's not maybe large in the States, but in Europe it's large. It's around 5,000 concurrent users, and they have a group of 15 SharePoint administrators. And sometimes, for whatever reason, somebody changes some setting in the published application. And basically, it's really important for them to see if somebody changed any setting. You will see it just a bit later because there is a scroll bar, so you can see all the published apps settings. So I'm not able to show you here on the screenshot, but you will see that in a second if DemoGod provides me the wireless.
Did you make the sacrifices?
Sorry?
Did you remember to sacrifice? Did you drink Vegas monkey?
Yes, last night I went to bed early.
Yeah, well, we screwed that one for you.
Okay, so this is, for example, a comparison of two Zen farms. So basically, when you have, for example, a dev and production farm, what you can do is you can collect from the management server a list of published apps on the production farm that is here on the left, and list of published apps on the development farm. And what application does is it just shows you the differences. So on this screenshot you are not able to see much, but for example, you can see that, for example, in this development farm, some published applications are missing on the target. Okay, so this is something that is, so I was yesterday at the presentation of Siniša Sokolic. He has providing knowledge about deploying Zenap Farm in the enterprise environment, and then I managed to get an idea how you can else use the tool. So if there is any change in the Citrix computer or user policy, you will see that. But for example, yesterday it was interesting because Siniša has delivered a farm to the client, and then after 4 months the whole farm stopped working, and they called him and asked him why the farm is not working. And basically he connected to the farm and he saw that somebody changed some kind of a group policy for the single sign-on, and that completely broke things. And what you are able to do here is you can connect to the Citrix user and computer policy, but you can connect to the AD group policy, and then basically as you are tracking changes over time, you will see that exact time when somebody changed that setting, and it will ease your job because basically you will be able to see that change immediately, and then to tell the customer what is the problem with that specific farm. Okay, and so not only from Citrix, but you can load in different stuff. So for example, this is important for one customer to see how the services are behaving on the different SharePoint points. So it's important for them to see if the service is stopped or running. So if the service, for whatever reason, stops, they need to receive an alert. And basically then they have internal team that is exploring why potentially that service was stopped. So basically you can use this for getting the services, certificates, local admins, whatever you have, whatever you need on your farm. Okay, so let me...
Can this also compare the text files, body files?
Yes, yeah. So if there is PowerShell exposure, then it can. So basically what we do is we output from the PowerShell to XML, and then it can compare the XML, so different settings. You can put pretty much everything that you have today in the Windows world into the XML, and it will compare, and automatically you will know what is going on there. So any setting, basically. Yeah.
But can we do that ourselves? Can we write extensions for this to do that? Or, I mean, when you say you, is that you can, or we can?
Yes, so I will show you in the moment. So basically it has some kind of editor where you can create your own script, that PowerShell script. And that is just the regular PowerShell. Just we require you to output that script at some kind of XML, because then we are able to compare that XML inside that environment. Okay, so let me really quickly show you what is going on here. Okay. Maybe it will work. Okay, so as I was saying to you, this is a list of snapshots that application is creating over time. And basically what you can do is you just pick a snapshot from the past, and then you can check the settings that were in that snapshot. So this is only a list of all the applications. I believe this is Zenap 7.6 farm, but let me find the apps. So basically a list of all the apps and how that particular app is configured. So every setting that you have for every application, it will be here. It will be name, description, display name, whatever custom setting you have configured. So there is really a lot of different apps. And what is cool, Tom, what you asked me, so you can create, so at the moment we are creating this by ourselves, but if you create a custom, we call it a report, and then if you output it to the PowerShell, if it is maybe not working, you can always contact us. Basically, you can write just a simple script by yourself, and then it will show you, so maybe on the server, let me check, maybe get XA network adapters, not so good, network, get compute, anybody knows get service? Yeah, let's do the get service. So everything get service. So anything that has to do with the PowerShell. So this is, let's call that yes. Yeah, this won't probably work now. Yeah, sorry, but basically, this is the interface where you can write whatever you want. And so
Can you only do it on one server at a time, or can you do it on multiple?
you can do on multiple. I'm not able to go, let me try to edit. It will not work because all these servers are offline, because basically application is, I would like to show you.
Can you run against your local computer?
Yes, but I'm not sure why I do not have my local computer. Let me really quickly add it. So add.
When you want to add new computers, is a way to pull that directly from AD, or you have to enter it manually, or?
No, so I just added this manually, but basically it connects to your domain controller and it can detect different farms. So it is faster when you add it manually. Basically we have a lot of test farms now, so it will probably take a while to scan, maybe.
So you can do both ways?
Yeah, basically you can do both. Okay.
I should have.
Okay, so where is inventory? Let me just show you really quickly. So create, get services.
Oh, it's in the end.
It's here, next, and then basically it will allow you to, so this is output of all the different settings in this particular PowerShell commandlet, and what you can do then, you can include or exclude something that you want or you don't want. So you can see, for example, for this get service, it provides a lot more data when you connect programmatically, but maybe you want something you don't want something to be compared in the farm. So basically you can customize it whatever you want. So let me show you maybe the group policy. This is also interesting as well. So if some policy is not configured, by default you will see that there, and if something is changed, then you will see that as well. So this is a demo environment and it's always really slow, so my apologies about that.
Friday. Just to be clear, it's not just a single command that you can use. You can put an entire huge script in there as long as you have an output.
Exactly. So here is an example, maybe...
Just more complex queries?
Yes, maybe, let me check. I had, maybe, where is it? Let me check here. No, this is simple. Group policy administrator. This here.
We believe you, Frank, really.
Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, these are all simple scripts, but basically what we can do, so last requirement that we had from the customer is to get a list of specific task scheduler settings they have on the servers, because they need to be sure that tasks are really running and then returning, I believe it's when it returns 0, then that means that the task has executed successfully. So basically you can connect to any Windows component that has PowerShell exposure, and you can get the different data. And let me just for the end show you the compare wizard. So when you collect all this data, then you can compare different snapshots, or for example different farms. And if we select, so, and what is good is, for example, you can make, so after you deliver this to your customer, you can make something, a good configuration, and then your customer can compare your configuration that you marked as good with something that they changed. And then, as you know, when you configure this, then they will be sure that your configuration is good. So they can compare any snapshot with the configuration that you marked good. Okay, and this is the compare wizard. So it compares the XML, and it will provide us an output of all the different. So let me select here this. So it is something like, so it is a tree list of all the servers and different farms. If you wish, you can add, and then you can immediately see what is different on this particular server or the farm. So for example, I'm comparing different two servers now, and you can check that there is a difference in the hard drive, but for example, this can be interesting. So, get XA applications, it will list all the different apps, the apps, and then it will show you what exactly is different for this application. And what we are building, for example, if you have the application ID that is different on different farms, then you will be able to map the farm 1 to farm 2, and not to compare that different. For example, that is usually a GUID, an ID, a server name, maybe a farm name or something like that. Sometimes you don't want to compare that, because basically the application will list you all different settings. So as you see, this is really simple. Then basically you can export it to Excel or PDF, and then you can provide it to your guys.
The conversion here, is this only able between two servers, or can I have a baselining and then compare the baselining against additional queries?
Yes, so basically that is in the wizard, and when you make some, let's say a snapshot of baseline, then you can choose that baseline, and then everything that it collected. So for example, in one baseline you can have multiple farms, and then everything that is in that snapshot you can compare it with anything else. Just you need to know what you need to compare. So basically the snapshot collects everything that you push into this.
Can the comparison be automated? Like, can you tell it every day, compare
Yes.
the baseline to the
So
latest, and just notify me?
That is
different?
the idea. If there is no change, you don't care.
Yeah.
But if there is a change,
I want to know.
then there will be an alert, okay, this has changed on this farm, this
Cool.
setting, or for example, in group policy, this was that I was talking about, the single sign-on. The single sign-on was changed on that domain controller. Somebody changed it, maybe you need to check because it will break the things. So
Does it log which account makes a change?
not by default, but if you can connect to PowerShell, because PowerShell is really powerful. If you collect the data and then if you collect immediately to the event, security event viewer, if there is written who made a change, then you can correlate that to data. So in one report you can include that as well, so who did some particular change.
But then you will have to script that yourself.
Yes, but we can help you with it. Just 1 minute. I have really simple. There was one customer that was using single admin account to connect to all the different servers, and so that is a problem because, of course, you cannot know who connected from where. So what we did from them is we captured a client name of the computer and the IP address that is connecting. So they are using the same account, but maybe on the client name, because that is always different in the huge environment, you can know who connected on that particular server and who did the change. Okay, so if there are no other questions, that's it for today.
I have one more question.
Yeah, sure.
Is this a commercial product or?
Yes, this is a commercial product, but if you are interested, so everybody in this room, so this is something that is still in preview. It's not, for the SharePoint it's on the market, but for the ZenApp it's not on the market. So for everybody in the room, here's my contact. I will be happy to provide you.
You get a license. You get a license.
I will be happy to provide you a license because we would like this to be tested. So you can use it by your own companies or your, if you are a consultant, then you can test it with your customers. So just contact me and we'll provide you a license because the feedback is really important.
Yeah, I commented a lot of different customers, and what I do now is I use Carl Webster script, and I compare the output of the PDF in a compare tool or within Word, and that's like hell because all the dates change and all the.
You're going to stick crawl scripts in there? You are cruel. That is a stress test.
About it once an hour?
Yeah, so maybe if Carl, maybe if we, I have discussed with Carl, but not about this, but maybe if we can do the Carl script to output data to the XML automatically, then it collects all the data that Carl does, and then you just compare, because in the end it's a XML of some set of data, we really don't care what is inside, and you compare it. And when you have a large farm, for example, like this one, you have 500 applications, you really don't know what is somewhere on some server or development farm or whatever. So you need to compare that manually, but this allows you to get an alert if if something has changed, and then to have it. Okay.
Okay. Anything else?